Have you heard of Reading Horizons before? This program claims to really work for struggling readers and students with dyslexia. So is this true? What can you expect? What is so special about this program? Let's find out in today's video. So in today's video, we're going to take a look at Reading Horizons at home, and more specifically, I'm going to be reviewing the software called Reading Horizons Discovery, which is for emerging readers. That is children from 4 to 9 years old, more or less, okay? So that would be your pre-K to grade 3 students. And I'm saying this because this is not the only solution they have for at-home use and for the classroom. If you're a teacher watching this video, they have another software called Elevate for children over 10 years old and even for adult remediation. However, and this is very important, both Discovery and Elevate cover the same concepts. It's just that the teaching style in Discovery is better for younger students and the teaching style in Discovery is better for older students. Anyway, with all clarifications and warnings out of the way now, let's get started. So, Reading Horizons is an Orton-Gillingham based program. You've probably heard of the Orton-Gillingham approach to teaching reading before. It's very popular. I've spoken about it several times in this channel. For instance, in this video over here, the link will also be in the video description. But anyway, if you're new here or if you haven't heard of the Orton-Gillingham approach before, I'll quickly summarize in this video what it is so you can follow along. So Orton-Gillingham based programs use phonics to teach reading, but they are also extremely explicit, meaning that you explicitly teach the connections between letters and sounds as opposed to implicit, where you expect children to figure them out by exposure to words, books, and language in general. Systematic. There's a system, a very clear system that you follow to teach reading as opposed to coincidental reading instruction. That is, for instance, when you teach reading based on the words you bump into or the questions children have. Sequential. You follow a very clear sequence that goes from simple skills to more complex skills in a very gradual way. And this is what the Orton-Gillingham approach is really well known for, multisensory. They engage all the senses for a more holistic and robust learning experience. So is Reading Horizons all of these? Yes, it is. It is explicit, it is systematic, it is sequential, it is multisensory. But look, there are many curriculums out there that follow the Orton-Gillingham approach that are all of those things. This is not what makes Reading Horizons remarkable or different. What does it make it remarkable and different then? What's so special about it? Well, in my opinion, what makes this program really different from others is the marking system it uses and how it appeals to logical thinkers. The marking system was in fact created for logical thinkers because this trait, being very logical, responding very well to logical explanations, very clear instructions, is very common among children with dyslexia. And we have to keep that in mind. This program was created first and foremost for dyslexics. That doesn't mean that you can only use it if you have dyslexia, but you have to understand that's the reason why it's so peculiar. So let's talk about the marking system now. Their marking method really tackles words as if they were math problems rather than reading activities. So, to resolve an equation in math, there are some steps you absolutely have to follow, and if you stick to them, you get the right answer, right? Of course, at the beginning, we won't start with complex equations in math. We start with the numbers, counting, then additions, then subtractions. Well, it's exactly the same here. We won't start with complex words, but with simple words. But our objective is always the same. Prove how the word is read. I'm going to repeat this again. Prove how the word is read. We're proving words. Think for a moment about this. It is really expressed in a way, in a language that really appeals to the logical mind, right? But before going ahead and proving words, there are a few key things, a few key concepts that we need to know. So what are those? First of all, we need to know some consonant sounds and some vowel sounds. This is, by the way, the sequence they have chosen for teaching letter names and letter sounds. Is divided in chapters, as you can see, and they teach 5 letters in each of them, 4 consonants and 1 vowel to be more specific. But don't worry, you don't have to finish all the chapters before going ahead and proving words. The second thing before going ahead and proving your words is the ability to slide two sounds together. I know they have this funny language like proof words, slide sounds. What do they mean by sliding sounds? Okay, say we are sliding the sounds in these two letters. We have the letter M and the letter E. So the software will train your child to slide from the consonant sound, in this case M, to the vowel sound, in this case E. So this is me. And then you mark this, remember their marking system, this is their twist, with a slight arrow underneath to help your child remember to slide the sounds together from left to right. Let's practice a little more. A, ma, p, e, pe, p, a, pa, met, met, mat, mat. Sliding is another word for blending, really. They use the term slide to make it more coherent with the symbol used in their marking system. This alignment between name and symbol makes it easier for children to remember. The idea behind all of this is that children develop this automatic reflex, so they say ma, me, pe, pa, etc. right away in preparation for reading CVC words. Those are simple words formed by a consonant, a vowel, and a consonant, like met or mat, and your child will be sliding to sounds like this right from the start of the program. And finally, the third ability we need to master to be good at proving words is the ability of distinguishing between vowels and consonants. You'll notice the amount of stress they put in this. Okay, so those are our 3 prerequisites for proving words. Let's go back to the third one for a moment. Clearly distinguish between vowels and consonants. Why is this so important in general and for reading horizons specifically? First of all syllables in English must have a vowel sound. In other words, you can't have a syllable just made up of consonants. You just can't. It doesn't work. You always need a vowel. Number 2, the letters that follow or precede a vowel determine how we read that vowel. Is it going to be A as in apple, or is it going to be A as in acorn? For example, say we have met and me. So how would Reading Horizons go about this discrepancy in the way we read the letter E? Using their own particular language, how would we prove these words? The word met. This is their step-by-step system to prove this word. First step, mark the vowel with a cross underneath. Second step, is the letter right after the vowel a consonant or a vowel? The letter T is a consonant. If it's a consonant, then this is what they call a guardian star. Mark the guardian star with a star symbol. It guards the vowel so it can say its short sound rather than its letter name or long vowel sound. So now it's time to mark the letter E with the symbol that indicates it's a short sound. So this is read met. What would happen if there wasn't a guardian letter? Well, no guardian letter means that the vowel makes its long sound or letter name. Mark it, read it. Me. Let's prove more complicated words now with our marking system. For instance, words with blends. By the way, in case you need a refresher, blends are 2 or 3 consonants standing together that retain their own sounds. And that's the key point here. They retain their own individual sounds as opposed to digraphs such as ch, sh, or th. These guys don't. What they do is they team up to make a new sound. If you want to learn more about this topic, there's an entire video in our channel where I talk about consonant blends. I even have a super comprehensive list of words containing consonant blends. If interested, links will be in the video description as usual. So a word with a blend is glad. Step 1 is always the same. Identify the vowel and mark it with a cross. Step 2. Is there a guardian star? Yes, there is a guardian star. Mark it. Step 3. I can see two consonants next to each other. We mark it with an arc. Step 4. Is it a blend? If it's a blend, we have been told that the consonants will keep their original sound. Read it. Glad. Another important note on blends is that they always stay together in the same syllable. This last bit is not so important in this case because this is a one-syllable word, but I just wanted to raise the point because this will become relevant once your student starts proving multisyllabic words. This is also something that your kid will be explicitly taught with Reading Horizons when it's the right time for it. Let's prove another word with their system. This is the last one, okay? Before we move on to see inside the software. Time. How do we prove this word? Step 1. Identify the vowels and mark them. Okay, there are two vowels in this word. When there are two vowels in the word, this is one of the phonetic skills students learn in Reading Horizons. When we have more than one vowel in a word, and one of those is an E at the end of the word, that E at the end will be silent, making the previous vowel long. So the key questions here in step 2 are: is one of those vowels an E? The answer is yes. Is it at the end of the word? The answer is yes again. So how do we mark this? Our silent E, we mark it like this, with a line all the way through it. The vowel I will be long, and we mark it as such, with a line on top. The consonant in between is not a guardian star because the letter E follows it, and that's also what makes the vowel long. Okay, so I hope you have a better understanding now of how the marking system works. I know there's a lot to remember, but bear in mind that these phonetic skills are introduced little by little, and as you advance and words get more complicated and there are more rules and more things to remember, the process remains consistent. And I can really see how this consistency can be great for logical thinkers. Okay, before moving on and watching some sample clips of the software, I thought it would be a good idea to show you their scope and sequence so you can see what's covered in this program, where it begins exactly, and where it's supposed to take you. As mentioned before, we start learning letters and their sounds. And this is the order of introduction of those letters. They are divided in letter groups, as you can see, or chapters. Each letter group has 4 consonant sounds and 1 vowel. I won't go into the micro details of why the letter B is, for instance, introduced in the first place, or right before the letter F, or why the vowels are not introduced in the traditional order, that is A, E, I, O, U, but A, E, O, U, I. But what you have to know is that good quality programs put a lot of thinking into this order, but they all take into consideration different factors. Every single one has its own rationale for this. So as long as there's some good logic behind it, it doesn't really matter that much. Okay, after that, you learn how to slide sounds. Then you move on to 3-letter words, CVC words. You identify the vowel first, as you can see with their marking system, and this is when you start to apply the sliding sounds technique. Then we have blends. Then we have what they call special vowel combinations, long and short vowel sounds. The short sounds are marked like this, as you can see with this funny hat on top, and the long vowel sounds are marked with this line on top with a different kind of hat, a different hat model if you wish. Then we move on to phonetic skills: 1 guardian, 2 guardians, vowel stands alone, silent E, adjacent vowels. As you can see, it's a very explicit program. So let's go to the very end of the sequence, see where it finishes up, so you can get an idea of after where Reading Horizons will take you. So you finish up with what they call special vowel sounds. two vowels that stand together to make a new vowel sound. Okay, this is what I call, many people call vowel themes. The ones at the very end of the sequence are these combination pairs. So we have AU-AW, whole, long, OU-OW, proud, brown, the diphthong oi, toil, boy, double O, sook, soon. Notice the marking system with these words, how elaborate it gets, but all of these symbols are probably like bread and butter for your kid at that point. Okay, one thing you've probably noticed is not in this sequence is phonemic awareness specifically. I mean, the program focuses a lot on letter sounds and phonics and blending, and that's obviously working towards your child's phonemic awareness skills. Remember, that is his or her awareness of the individual sounds in words and in general of sounds in the language. But anyway, there are some pre-reading skills you might find in some Get Ready for Reading materials that Reading Horizons assumes you've already worked on and doesn't cover. And I'm mentioning this because if you have a struggling reader or a dyslexic child, sometimes there can be lacks in her or her phonemic awareness skills. And if you detect that, if you notice this, you may need to reinforce these skills alongside using this program, or before you start the program for a few days, for a few weeks, whatever it takes. If you're not sure whether your child has difficulty processing sounds or not, lacks in his or her awareness of sounds, you can do a phonemic awareness assessment. Okay, I don't want to get into this topic right now because it goes well beyond the scope of today's video, but I'll leave you a link with more information about this in the video description. It's a document with sample questions for assessing phonemic awareness skills. And by the way, on the video description, as usual, I'm going to leave you a bunch of links with very useful information, including, for instance, the review of Reading Horizons that we published in our blog, the Learning Reading Hub blog, so you can have a written reference to go to if you want. Okay, let's go ahead now and take a look at a few clips of the software so you can see how all that we've learned is translated into practice. Remember, we are looking at Reading Horizons Discovery in this video. So in this clip, we can see how the letter J, name and sound, is explicitly taught.
J. Can you say that with me? The name of the letter is J. The sound of the letter is J. Now you say it by yourself.
J.
Watch the way it is pronounced.
J. J. J.
As you may have noticed, they use very simple and very
Let's look at
direct
some things
instructions.
that begin with the letter J. Jewelry, jam, jet, jump, jungle. Click on a picture to hear the word again. Click the arrow when you are done. Jam, jet, jungle, jewelry, jump. Now say the words after me. Jewelry, jam, jet, jump.
Now we've seen the
Jungle.
sound in context, in the context of
job.
words, not only in isolation.
Let's write an uppercase J. Watch while one is drawn on the screen.
Okay, so some writing practice. Always a good
Watch
idea,
again
not
and
only
follow
because
the
we
line
need to
with
learn
your
how to
finger.
write, but also because writing is a multi-sensory
Watch
activity
as
in
the
itself.
uppercase J
We are
is
engaging more
drawn
senses,
one more
and this
time.
facilitates learning.
Now let's write a lowercase j. Watch while one is drawn on the screen. Watch again and follow the line with your finger. Watch while a lowercase j is drawn on the screen one more time. Find the letter J on your keyboard. Press it 3 times. Each time you press it, say J, J, J.
Okay,
Click the
finding
arrow
the
when you're
letter on the
done.
keyboard and typing it 3 times. This is something, by the way, for you to consider. Your child should be able to do that, so if you have a really young child, he or she might need your support with this.
Let's review. The name of the letter is J. The sound of the letter is J. Close your eyes and picture an uppercase J.
I like this prompt as well of getting your
Now
child to
open your
close his
eyes
eyes
and
or
click
close
on
her
an
eyes and
uppercase
imagine
J.
the letter in his head. It's good, it's multisensory as well. It's another way of
Close
engaging
your
the
eyes
senses in
and
the learning
picture
experience.
a lowercase J. Now open your eyes and click on the lowercase J.
Yes, take a bow.
Lots of encouragement along the way. Always great.
You know the consonant J and the vowel A. Now let's slide these letters together.
Okay, pay close attention to this. We are going to see the slide
Remember,
technique I
we
explained
are
before in
sliding the
action,
sounds
okay?
together.
Let's go.
You will begin to say the sound of J and then slide to the sound of A. And together, those letters say ja, ja. Say it with me. Ja, ja.
Ja.
Let's make some words using the J-A slide. Mark the vowel in the word, then read the word.
Okay, now we're going to see the marking system in action. Let's go.
Magnificent.
The word is jam. Strawberry jam is Grandma's favorite. We will make more words with the letter J later on. Now that you have completed the lesson, let's practice what
Okay,
you
so
learned
in
with
this
some
clip you've seen
activities.
how the learn
Click
part of
on
the
one
lesson
the
goes.
boxes to begin.
After that you have
Click
some
on
practice, some
lowercase
activities to
J.
review, and make sure you've actually learned the contents in the lesson before
Click on the
moving on.
letters that have the sound J.
So this was a sample lesson. After this you have some activities to check whether you actually have learned what you had to learn in the lesson, and if you didn't, you need to repeat the lesson until you pass. And by the way, 3 things to keep in mind here. The first one is that you can set up the percentage for passing the lesson. By default it's at 75%, but you can easily change it in the admin panel. The second thing is that before your child starts to do his or her lessons, there's an assessment, and based on how he does or she does in the assessment, the software will adjust the lessons. So it might be the case that some of the lessons might be slightly different from what you've seen here, or it could be that the software skips lessons altogether. Keep this in mind because I didn't know at the beginning and I was quite confused by it. I didn't understand what was going on. The third thing is that you can access reports on your child's activity. They are really thorough and they can really help you see how your kid is doing, where he's struggling, where he's doing good, etc. Okay, so let's quickly take a look now at some of the activities that you have to do at the end of each lesson.
Now that you have completed the lesson, let's practice what you learned with some activities. Click on one of the boxes to begin. Click on lowercase j.
Terrific.
Click on the letters that have the sound J.
Bravo.
Click on uppercase J.
That's correct.
Some things in this picture begin with the letter J. Click on each thing that begins with the sound J. J. Jam.
Awesome.
Jungle.
Right on.
Jump.
Good job.
Now look at this sentence. Click on all of the consonant J's.
on.
Now read the sentence with me. Jen can jog and jump. Way to go! The stars next to each activity show you how well you did. A green check mark means you passed, and a red X means you didn't. Click the arrow button when you are finished looking at your results.
In the clips, you may have noticed that as you do things right, you also accumulate points. So what can you do with these points? Well, on the homepage, what they call the clubhouse, there's a store and you can get things with these coins. For example, this cool set of clothes, or you can use them to play other games. It's motivating, it's fun, but it's not overly distracting. It doesn't interfere with the learning experience. The reason why I say this and I appreciate the way it's done is because I've seen other tools out there for learning to read, and I'm thinking about one, but I'm not gonna say its name, that are always with this ding 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 sound as you collect points or coins or whatever it is that you collect, and I think it's too much. It doesn't allow children to properly focus and can make them obsessed over collecting points or coins or eggs or whatever it is that they are collecting. So talking about gamification, and I think this is the proper name, every now and again they also introduce a little game to allow your child to have a little break, but it's not too much. It's again done in a careful way, in a non-addictive obsessive way. Another thing I want to mention is that the program, as I said before, is divided in different chapters. At the end of each chapter, you have a little review test to make sure your student has learned the concepts explained in that chapter before he's ready to move on to the next one. Let's take a look now at the homepage. That is what they call the clubhouse, so you can see what else is in there. Okay, so when you click here on this green arrow, that's how you access the lessons. When you click here, you get access to the store. When you click here on the dartboard, you get access to the games. By the way, they are very educational. When you click here, you get access to the library. When you click here on the compass, you get access to the instructions on how to get around. This is a video explaining exactly that. When you click here, and I really like this one, you get access to the vocabulary section. When you click here, you get access to Sound City, where you can revisit the vowel and consonant sounds you've learned so far on the lessons. Okay, so let me quickly show you inside the vocabulary section, because I think it's really cool. I'll let you explore the rest because I don't want this video to be extremely long, and I also need to talk about other things before finishing up. So let's go and watch a clip of the vocabulary section now. I think you'll understand why I think it's so cool.
Spell the word you hear. Bag.
Fantastic!
Now prove the word.
Amazing!
Bag. A container to hold things, usually made of plastic, paper, or cloth. Will you put the groceries in a paper bag, please? Spell the word you hear. Gab.
Impressive!
Now prove the word.
You rock!
Gab. To talk a lot. Dan can gab. Spell the word you hear. Mel.
Okay, we're heading towards the end of the video, I promise, but before we talk about the different packages, prices, and options you've got, let me talk about their admin section. You can do a lot of things in the admin section. For instance, you can adjust the pass rate, as I said before. You can eliminate lessons altogether. You can adjust the screen colors, restrict the games to only certain days of the week, for instance. But to be honest, there was a little bit of a learning curve for me with this section. It's not extremely user-friendly in my opinion. Okay, let's go ahead now and see the different packages available and their prices at the time of recording. Worth mentioning, by the way, that all Reading Horizons products come with a 60-day money-back guarantee, which is awesome, but bear in mind again that this is at the time of recording. Okay, so for Reading Horizons Discovery, you have these options. Option number 1, online software only. This is a yearly subscription to the software we've seen for 2 students. The price is $199, but they offer a 30-day almost free trial for $10. If you want to add more children, you can get additional slots for $25 each, and the renewal cost is $50 a year. Option number 2, Discovery at Home Instructor Materials. These are their printed materials and they are scripted, they are guided, they teach the entire program through direct instruction. The materials follow the lesson plan on the software, but this option is without the software. The price is $399, and remember they have their 60-day money-back guarantee at the time of recording. Option number 3, Bundle. Online software and Discovery at Home materials. This is probably the best option for homeschooling families. Why? Well, to be honest, in my opinion, the software by itself might not be enough to teach your child to read, especially if he's a struggling reader or dyslexic student. However, the software in conjunction with the instructor materials makes a very complete reading curriculum. The price is $545. It is a big investment, I know, but remember they have their 60-day money-back guarantee. Plus, you get everything in one single purchase. You don't have to go and buy materials for grade 1, for grade 2, for grade 3, etc. That always tends to be more expensive in the long run. The packages in Reading Horizons Elevate are very similar. You have again the same options, software only, guided materials only, or bundle, and the prices are very similar as well, slightly cheaper, something like $20 cheaper for the guided materials and the bundle, but very similar, honestly. Remember, by the way, once more, that both Elevate and Discovery cover the same concepts. Discovery was designed for students from 4 to 9 years old, and Elevate's teaching style is more suited for children slightly older, over 10 years old, and even adults. The main differences are how the lessons are explained, the design, the content in the books, and the gamification style, okay? Sorry, I know I've said a lot of things in this video, maybe it's hard to keep track, so if you want a written reference of everything I've said in this video, and even more, we have an article reviewing Reading Horizons in the Learning Reading Hub blog. I invite you to check it out. I'll leave you the link in the video description. Besides, if you're watching this in the future, prices may well have changed and I can't go back and edit this video, but I can go back and edit the article. We do that quite often, so any changes in prices, any relevant promos will be reflected in the article. Anyway, that's it for today. I hope this video gives you clarity on what to expect. By the way, remember, if you're interested but don't want to commit for an entire year before testing the software, they have a 30-day almost free trial for $10. Bye and see you in the next video.